I can't get the. You know what? I'm clicking the wrong thing. What's up, guys? Welcome to the NS9 Postgame Show, brought to you by Pittsburgh Baseball Now, hodgepodge of nothingness, whatever you want to call this thing. Pirates lose 8-3. I'm Jim Rosati. With me is Tyler. What's going on, Tyler?
Yeah, football's on.
Well, that's what I was saying. I didn't know we were going to even do this because football's on, but here we are, and it's really just to get right into it. It's the exact same story it's been for pretty much every single Pirates loss in the last month or so. Decent, actually really good start, right? And then bullpen comes in and just looks like complete ass. So that's just what happens every single day now.
Yeah, it didn't happen yesterday, but I mean, on the bright side, Ortiz they clap for him.
Yeah, how about that? The most important thing to happen today was the dozens and dozens of fans in attendance. They got to clap for the starting pitcher
after 4 2/3 of him just mowing everyone down.
But I want to actually kind of go back to the beginning here. So, this really is kind of the recipe for the Pirates' losses this past month or so. Dan Zangrilli tweeted out earlier today, in the last 26 games, so basically the last month, Pirates starting rotation is the third best in the National League. They've got a 3.37 ERA over their last 26 games. I haven't counted yet, but I'm going to guess out of those 26 games, they haven't won too many.
Well, I think logically you can get there. Last time I was on, I was talking to Donardo, and if you squint hard enough at this point in the season, I think you can kind of start to see a rotation for the future starting to kind of come together. There's still not enough high-end talent there. Ortiz took another step forward as you count. What's the number?
They're 9-19 in those. After today's loss, actually 9-20. So 9-20.
And their rotation has been the second best.
And they're the third best rotation in the National League.
Yeah, that's sad. But like I said, if you squint hard enough, you guys talked about it a little bit last night with going out and getting a free agent for next year, but there are some spots that seem to be shoring up in the rotation. It's just that their bullpen is just incredibly awful.
They need to replace the entire bullpen. Bring Bednar back, let Crow, maybe battle it out for a spot, but the rest of this bullpen needs to go.
Yeah. It's someone different every night. But it's always one of them. None of them are good enough to rely on.
Yeah.
Even Bednar right now is just not great.
No, Bednar, he did pitch a scoreless inning today, but his velocity was up a little bit. But overall, he didn't look good. Banuelos came in, and I said last night, I think, or the night before, that out of everybody in this bullpen, I probably trust Banuelos the most right now, which is really saying something. But he sucked today. Bednar again
comes in lefty on lefty. The one job he has to do, and he can't get it out.
Can't get it. Bednar came in, pitched a scoreless inning. Underwood, awful. Yajure, awful. It's every night. You're right. It's every night. Again, we're talking the negatives. We want to get to Luis Ortiz here eventually, but just an absolutely incredible start by him. He's looked great in his 3 starts so far. You would have liked to have seen him finish that 5th, and I think he could have. They took him out after 80 pitches.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of opened the floodgates. You brought him out, and then all of a sudden the Cubs start hitting. So just a disappointing game overall. The offense also was just really kind of uninspiring the entire game. 6, 7, 8, 9, 6 through 9 combined to go 0 for 13.
Yeah, I mean, they got a guy named Collins playing first base. Jason DeLay. He
Throwing balls all over the outfield. Yeah. He had 2 errors today.
I'm going to be honest, I forget who else is it. And Cal Mitchell's back to looking like Cal Mitchell we've known. So, yes, 7, 8, 9's bad. Bullpen's bad. And 1 through 6 just didn't do enough to get the job done.
And I mean, and 1 through 5, well, 2 through 5 played well today. Reynolds homered, Cruz 2 hits, Castro a single, a sac fly, a walk, Hayes 2 more hits. So like the middle of the order performed. It's just the rest of the lineup did absolutely nothing.
Yeah, they did perform, but they just don't string together enough hits. The situational hitting of this team is just so bad. And it always has been. But that's what happens when you have a lot of bad baseball players. And a third of your order is literally useless.
Yeah.
Useless is probably too nice of a term for them. 7, 8, 9, Cal Mitchell, Jason DeLay, and Collins that's 3 guys who cannot hit a baseball.
I mean, Cal Mitchell at this point, he's got a 73 weighted runs created plus, negative 0.7 WAR heading into the game. I mean, it's kind of unfair. Like we kind of were all over Yoshi and Van Meter, and they're older guys, right? So you give Mitchell a little bit of a leeway because this is his rookie season. But geez, like Cal Mitchell's been bad. He's been bad.
You got to show something somewhere.
Yeah,
and he can't field anything. He can't field. He can't hit. No. Not really great on the bases.
No. He's been the third least valuable Pirate to date. Only Cole Tucker and Yoshi have been worse.
What did Yoshi finish with? Like a negative 1.3 WAR?
1.3. Yeah, that's pretty impressive. Negative 1.3 WAR. You don't see that too often.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
The amount of guys I would like to do a study and see where the Pirates rank among all-time teams in negative WAR players this year.
I bet they're up there. Well, the guy who basically replaced Yoshi as the full-time first baseman, also negative 0.6 WAR right now, Michael Chavis. So, yeah, just an overall, and Van Meter was negative 0.3. So those are your 3 first basemen basically who have played this year: negative 0.3, negative 0.6, and negative 1.3.
It's been a bad year of first base.
It's been a bad year of a lot of things, but yeah, first base, definitely.
You can't get almost negative 2 WAR out of your first base position.
Yeah, it's over that. It's like negative 2.2 WAR.
I'm sure someone has somewhat of a positive WAR in there. Vogelbach's had like half a WAR, so
I think he only played like 2 games though at first.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, it's bad.
Yeah,
it's a lot of bad. But we're almost there.
But let's get to the good. So we're 10 minutes in here. We haven't talked about the good. The good clearly today was Luis Ortiz. What's kind of wild about Ortiz is, and you mentioned it today in the group chat, like he wasn't really on our radar because the numbers in the minors haven't been dominant, right? The stuff clearly is there. I didn't realize his stuff was this good though. But you looked at his AA numbers and they're fairly pedestrian. You look at his AAA numbers, they're fine, but like nothing stands out to you really about what he did in the minors. And then he comes up to the majors and you just see him just casually tossing 100-mile-an-hour, just dots like on the edge of the strike zone, slider unhittable. I am
And that two
amazed by
seamer.
I'm amazed by what I've seen from him so far.
The two seamer looked really good today as well. We saw him go backdoor with it a couple times. But I mentioned in the group chat that I might be I'm probably more excited about Luis Ortiz at this point than I am Contreras. And we discussed it a little bit, but
yeah, we can get into that here.
He has the workhorse body, the stuff. I mean, he's a 2-pitch pitcher, really, but it's working so far. He's a guy to be really excited about, I think.
He really is, and you know how you can actually tell sometimes like when people start getting excited by people, because when you go to Baseball Savant or you go to Fangraphs and you hit the little player search, right, it gives you like the most popular searches. Luis Ortiz right now, 5th on the list, above Mike Trout. If you just click on the player search, you get to Luis Ortiz. So people are taking notice to him. People are like, hey, let me check and see who this guy is, because I mean those pitching ninja tweets today, like he's gonna start getting some attention because the stuff is incredible.
Yeah, it's not every day you have a starter come up that's pumping 100 nonstop.
Especially the one who's like relatively unknown.
Yeah, like legitimate, just unknown.
Yeah,
like we had heard the velocity.
We knew of him, yeah,
but it was a lot of he's probably a bullpen guy.
Yeah,
and then you see him, and he's carrying the velocity later into the game. The command's a lot better than I think what we heard about to this point. Control's been pretty decent. I mean, he's a guy that I'm very excited about going forward.
Yeah, I mean, really, it was. Let's see here. I guess it was Fangraphs probably has him the highest. Like they have him at 15th as 15th rated prospect in the organization, and you can tell that the stuff has gotten better throughout the year, because I'm reading a scouting report here. Scouting report says fastball has real sizzle, humming in at an average of 95.
Yeah, it's not averaging 95.
He's now averaging. Let's go. I just want to kind of see this now. His fastball currently averaging 98.1. Yeah, you just don't. There's only a handful of starting pitchers who are that, and you're talking DeGrom, Hunter Green. Like those are the names you're talking about when you're saying that, starting pitchers with a fastball like that. So his stuff must have gotten better since the scouting report was written, but the guy has pretty good command from what we've seen so far. The slider and the fastball are both really good, and so now, and like you mentioned, he's kind of got that prototypical workhorse body, a little bit more than Roansy, where he's Roansy's a smaller guy. More high energy. Ortiz is doing this, and he looks like he's just in a rocking chair.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what more to say about him to show how excited I am about him, but it's also like a cautious optimism because we are Pirates fans, and he's showing enough to possibly be Super 2 status next year.
Yeah, watch that happen. He won't get called up until like July next year. Meanwhile, Bryce Wilson will get like 10 starts.
God. But another point to mention about him, you brought it up earlier about how many innings he's thrown this year while we were talking, and that's, I think, a good thing going forward, because you're not gonna hopefully have to shut him down next year or something like that.
Yeah,
he's already kind of built up.
Yeah, so his first year in the minors, he pitched, a little bit over 50 innings. 2021, his first full season, he goes 87. And then this year, he's right at about 130 right now. So, yeah, I mean, you got to think next year, going into next year, coming off a season where, he'll get one more start. too. So he'll end up with 135 or so innings pitched, which means next year he's going in with no limitations.
Yeah,
I
hopefully.
mean, he should be at that point fully worked up as long as he's healthy.
Yeah. It does just suck that this is all happening at the end of the year. But it does give us good fodder during the offseason.
Yeah, it does, and it is the end of the year, but you also got to think where he was. Like, I mean, he was in single A at this point last year. He was in A ball, not high A. He was in A ball. He skipped Greensboro, went straight to Altoona this year
through 10 AAA innings.
Yeah, so I mean, he's made a really quick ascension through the minor leagues, and and it's like you said. I think you phrased it correctly. Like I'm definitely, and Donardo was talking about this too. Like I'm more confident in Contreras going forward that he's going to be like a really good pitcher. Like he's more polished. He just seems like he's got it under control. We haven't seen enough of Ortiz to really feel like super confident about him yet. But from an excitement standpoint, you look at the stuff and you drool. The stuff is insane. So, excellent start today, 4 2/3. They took him out once he hit pitch number 80, but he struck out 7. He gave up 1 hit. It was a single.
Damn near had an immaculate inning.
Almost had an immaculate inning.
A pitch away.
Yeah, he was 1 pitch away, but yeah, just an excellent start. I took him on his over 5 Ks, and he hit it in the like hitter number 6 or something, or 7. So
yeah, and the Cubs are not a great lineup, but
this was not a great lineup. You're right, but there were, I mean, there's Wisdom, Happ, Horner, Reyes, and especially like that in that, I think it was inning number 2 in particular, Nico Horner. He just made look silly. Like Nico, the umpire hadn't even called strike 3 yet, and Horner was already halfway to the dugout. Reyes, he made look silly on a slider. That was his almost immaculate inning. Was that second inning? He faced Horner, Reyes, Higgins, and then he got Higgins swinging. So he looked good. I agree with you. I'm very excited about him. He's got one more start to make, and that start will be against the Cardinals, which. He looked good against the Reds, obviously, in his debut. Yeah. But then he pitched really well against the Yankees. So it'll be a nice test to see him against another good team like the Cardinals to close out the year.
If he pitches well against the Cardinals, you might not get people to shut up about him in the offseason.
I mean, if he goes into to next year with 4 starts under his belt and an ERA below 2.
With every peripheral looking just phenomenal as well.
Yeah, you're gonna have a hard time, like unless he blows up in spring training. Yeah, you're gonna have a hard time not keeping him on, not bringing him north with the club. So, yeah, no, definitely something to be excited about. And I don't really feel like talking about the bullpen anymore. I don't want to talk about Uri. I don't want to talk about Underwood. I don't want to talk about Bonduelos. We already talked about the offense. I mean, it's a short and sweet show, but I mean, is there anything else you want to talk about? I feel like we kind of covered everything. Outside of Ortiz, it was just.
It was a regular Pirates game.
Yeah. Not a great defensive game. Delay, errors. Cruz didn't look good in the field.
Yeah.
It sucked.
Yeah. They lost 8-3.
Yep.
There's not much positive to say other than the starting pitcher pitched really well.
Yep.
But some guys got some hits.
Yeah. So let's talk about next series. They've got the Reds coming up. 4-game series against the Reds. I don't know, 3-game series against the Reds at home. Yeah. 6:35 tomorrow. Roansy Contreras facing Chase Anderson, whoever that is. Actually, he's been around a while. He's really old. I didn't realize he was still in the league. I know who he is. Chase Anderson. And then we got Mitch Keller and Hunter Green on Tuesday. So that should be fun. And then, our favorite, Bryce Wilson starts the last game of that series. But
on the bright side, there's only one pitcher in the rotation at this point that I really don't want to watch.
And that's him.
It took us a long time to get here, but we're here.
Yeah. And I think we're to the point where Bryce Wilson is definitely not going to be a part of the Pirates rotation next year.
Yeah, this has a good. Let's see, how many games left? 9. This could be Bryce Wilson's last appearance as a Pirate.
Maybe. But yeah, that'll be it. Tomorrow, 6:35, Contreras Day. It's Roanzi Day. So make sure you're watching that. There's a reason to watch. Other than that, we might do Starbucks tomorrow morning. Depends on if DiNardo wakes up in time. I'm
Probably
down
not.
to do it, but DiNardo's lazy, so
That is accurate.
You gotta watch out for him sometimes. But no, Pirates lose. They dropped to 56-97 on the year. They're still in last place. They are tied with. Actually, they are now officially a half game worse than the A's. So they're in 29th place currently.
Ooh, baby.
But that'll do it. Pirates lose 8-3.
Again.
See you guys.
Peace out, Girl Scouts.